Viktor Orbán's foreign policy, let's be clear, it isn't just a little unusual. It's a direct challenge to the security and unity of Europe. He's out there building a network that really threatens to undermine the EU from within. So what exactly is his strategy, and what are the risks for the rest of us? Let's break it down. To really get a sense of the scale of his diplomatic push, just look at this number: 60 days. Last year, Hungary's prime minister spent over 60 days traveling abroad. Now, for any world leader, that is an absolutely extraordinary amount of time to be on the road. But, the number itself is only half the story. Think about it this way. His travel time is roughly equal to the presidents of the United States and war-torn Ukraine combined. That signals a frantic, almost desperate pace of diplomacy. But the key question for us as European policymakers is diplomacy with who and for what purpose? And that's the crucial part, isn't it? His itinerary wasn't packed with trips to see traditional European allies. Nope. Instead, he was doing what some have called strongman speed dating, building relationships way outside the Western democratic club. This isn't just tourism, it is a very deliberate geopolitical pivot away from us. So what is he building with all this travel? Well, it looks a lot like an alternative alliance. Orbán is trying to construct this global sovereigntist front, basically a network of leaders who all share his deep disdain for the liberal, rules-based order of the European Union. Some analysts have even given it a name, his Mini-NATO. It's an attempt to create this informal but very powerful bloc of nationalist leaders. And the goal? It's pretty simple: to create a counterweight to Brussels and Washington, and to weaken our Western institutions from the inside. Okay, so why is he doing this? What's the real motivation behind a strategy that seems designed to alienate his closest partners? Well, it really boils down to a clear three-part playbook. It's all designed to reshape not just Hungary's position in the world, but by extension, Europe itself. His playbook has three big goals that are all connected. First, legitimization, then leverage, and finally, securing an economic lifeline. Together, they're designed to lock down his power at home while chipping away at the European project. So let's look at each one. First up, legitimization. See, by constantly showing up next to figures like Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, Orbán is trying to normalize his illiberal brand of politics. He goes home and sells these autocracies as model states to his people, suggesting that his path isn't isolation, but part of some new, rising global movement against out-of-touch Western elites. Second goal, leverage. And Orbán's ambition here goes way beyond Hungary's borders. He wants to lead a whole continental shift to the right. By forming these new blocs in the European Parliament, like the Patriots for Europe group, he directly attacks the internal unity of the EU. It gives him the power to veto, to delay, and to just generally disrupt our ability to act together. And this brings us to the third, and you could argue, the most critical piece of his strategy: money. This number, 7.3 billion euros, that's from a single Chinese investment in a Hungarian battery plant. And that right there is the economic lifeline. You see, with billions in EU funds frozen over his rule of law issues, Orbán has simply turned east for cash. This Chinese investment is his Exhibit A. Proof, he claims, that Hungary doesn't need Brussels to succeed. But from a European perspective, this creates an incredibly dangerous economic dependency on a strategic rival right in the heart of our union. But, a strategy like this comes at a steep price. While Orbán is busy making friends in the East, he's burning every bridge he has in the West, and is leading to Hungary's unprecedented isolation within the very alliances that are supposed to protect it. The result is pretty clear. The word pariah is now being used openly in diplomatic circles to describe Hungary's position. His constant blocking of aid to Ukraine and that cozy relationship with Putin have effectively made him an outcast. And what's really telling is that his pro-Russia stance is so extreme that even other conservative and Eurosceptic leaders, like Italy's Giorgia Meloni, are now forced to keep their distance. I mean, when your potential ideological allies start seeing you as a liability, you know your isolation is deep. Now, this isn't just a political problem for us. It is a direct threat to our collective security. By acting as a spoiler within both the EU and NATO, Orbán's Hungary is actively undermining the West's ability to respond to threats, especially the threat from Russia. I mean, just look at the dangerous disconnect here. On every single critical security issue,
From sanctioning Russia and arming Ukraine to guarding against Chinese influence, Hungary is actively working against its allies. This creates a massive vulnerability in Europe's entire defensive posture. But here's the twist. Orbán's grand geopolitical strategy is now facing its biggest test yet. And it's not coming from Brussels or Washington. It's coming from inside Hungary itself. After years of focusing outward, domestic problems are finally catching up with him. A new political force, led by a man named Péter Magyar, has just exploded onto the scene. And his message is incredibly simple. While Orbán has been off playing global chess, ordinary Hungarians have been left to struggle with a really severe cost of living crisis. And that focus on domestic failures, it's resonating. And you can see, for the first time in over a decade, Orbán's Fidesz party is facing a credible challenger that is just surging in the polls. This shift suggests his grip on power isn't so absolute anymore, and it raises some really big questions about the future of his foreign policy as we head towards the 2026 elections.
So this leaves us with the critical question, doesn't it? Is Viktor Orbán's big gamble a geopolitical masterstroke that's going to secure Hungary's future? Or is it a profound national mistake that sacrifices his country's long-term security and prosperity, all for one man's political survival? For Europe, the answer to that question could very well determine the future of our own unity and our strength on the world stage.